Let us now discuss the need for compliance. Compliance means conforming to a rule, such as a specification, policy, standard, or law. Due to the increasing number of regulations and need for operational transparency, organizations are adopting the use of consolidated and harmonized sets of compliance controls. This approach is used to ensure that all necessary governance requirements can be met without the unnecessary duplication of effort and activity from resources. The need for compliance are as follows. It is important to protect the information critical to an organization. To enforce controls, it is necessary to have a formally written policy that can be used as the basis for all standards, guidelines, baselines, and procedures. It is important to understand the requirements for protecting organizational information. Identifying requirements for protecting organizational information is not enough. Inadequate implementation and enforcement controls can lead to fines, penalties, and imprisonment. Failures can lead to loss of customer confidence, competitive advantage, contracts, jobs, etc. To protect the shareholder interest is a key component in the need to implement effective controls. Good controls make good business sense. We will look into the regulatory compliance in the next screen. Regulatory compliance describes the goal that corporations or public agencies aspire to in their efforts to ensure the personnel are aware of and take steps to comply with the relevant laws and regulations. Regulatory environment covers data privacy, computer misuse, software copyright, data protection, controls on cryptography, etc. It also addresses environmental protection, intellectual property, national security, personal privacy, public order, health and safety, and prevention of fraudulent activities. Non-compliance will result in fines, imprisonment, or closure of the business. In the following screen, we will discuss compliance requirements and procedures. Audits are performed to ensure compliance to contracts, regulations, and laws. It assists in detecting abnormal activities, provides authorized personnel with the ability to see any action that can potentially cause access to, damage to, or in some way affect the release of organizational information. Level and type of auditing depends on the auditing requirements for the system's situation and the sensitivity of data that is processed and stored. Key elements is that the audit provides information on the types of unauthorized activities that have taken place and identified the person or processes included. It is advisable to employ standardized methods of audit wherever required. Reporting. The format, content, and timing of internal compliance reporting, unless prescribed by law, is tailored to the nature of the issue reported as per the following guidelines. Incidents and potential breaches are reported as and when they occur to business unit management and escalated to the compliance manager or executive management as per breach reporting process. Reporting on performance for compliance risk is as per risk management policy. The annual compliance plan will be reported and signed off at the start of each year. Changes in compliance requirements and obligations should be reported to compliance manager as and when they occur. Results of assurance activities are reported to the compliance manager, executive management, and audit committee as required. During the year, compliance issues will be reported as required on an ad hoc basis in executive meetings, audit committee meetings. Compliance process function includes establishing policies, standards, baselines, guidelines, and procedures to guide the workforce. Appointing a high-level manager to oversee compliance with the policies, standards, baselines, guidelines, and procedures. Enforcing the policies, standards, baselines, guidelines, and procedures consistently through appropriate disciplinary measures. Exercising due care when granting discretionary authority to employees. Ensuring that compliance policies are being carried out. Communicating the policies, standards, baselines, guidelines, and procedures to all employees and others. Implementing procedures for corrections in case of violations. Partnering with other fiduciary roles, organizations, personnel. Let's look at the standards or manuals or guidelines for compliance in this screen. It is very important to understand the laws and regulations with which the organization needs to be yielding. This will help determine the type of security framework or standard that should be set up within the organization. Manuals and guidelines help us to understand and deploy various controls and processes. Few examples of standards, manuals, or guidelines are mentioned below. They are as follows. Control Objectives for Information and Related Technology, or COBIT. Federal Information System Controls Audit Manual, or FISCAM. U.S. Government Accountability Office, or GAO, and Government Auditing Standards, or GAS. GAO and President's Council on Integrity and Efficiency, or PCIE, jointly issued the GAO PCIE Financial Audit Manual, or FAM. ISO 2700 series, specifically reserved by ISO for information security matters. In the next slide, we will discuss the third-party governance and security.